Morning, everybody. So check this out. I specifically asked Ms. Rush to not tell you what my bio is. Okay? So we're going to play a little game real quick. Y'all want to do that? You like playing games? All right. So, oops. I would, trying one more time. All right. I would like for you all to be able to, you know what, I can do, can you guys hear me like this? Yeah, I can do without. But I need to hear from you. I don't know, it's because of the level is too high.
Try now.
All right. We good? Okay, keep going. All right. So I would like for some of you, because I know how seventh graders are, you like to talk, so we're going to talk. I would like for some of you to kind of tell me, what do you think about my background? Based on what you see here. Yes, sir. I'm a businessman. Okay? Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please say it loud, too. I can't hear you. I'm a professional. What else? Yes. I have a good career. Yes. I what? I want to be taken seriously. We got some good answers there. Yes, sir. I'm a successful man. All right, we'll do one more, and then I'm going to tell y'all the real story. Yes. You got to spit.
You look like a lawyer.
Oh, I look like a lawyer. All right. So I'm going to tell y'all my background. And I'm happy. First of all, I will say thank you, because all of those that you all just share with me are all very positive things. So here's what you don't know about me that you're about to find out. Okay? How many of you were born and raised here in Los Angeles? All right. So guess what? So was I. All right. So that's number one. Number two, I was born in 1970. All right. You all know the saying, black don't crack. So there you go. All right. So that's number one. Number two, for me growing up, you all are here in Inglewood. I grew up 10 minutes that way. I ended up going to school in Culver City because my mom and my dad did not want me going to school in the hood. All right? So that's number two. Number three, I had lots and lots of friends that went to this school and to the high school, because Culver City and Inglewood were in the same league. In fact, you all have a famous alumnus from Inglewood High School that I played basketball against. Nope, I'm older than Paul Pierce. It was Harold Miner. Harold Miner. You look him up, you Google him, Harold Miner was called Baby Jordan back in the day. All right? So, now I'm going to tell you a couple of other things. So now I'm going to give you some real talk stats. When I was growing up, that was at the peak of gang violence. You all heard of the Bloods and the Crips, right? Anyone want to guess where the Bloods started? Right here in Inglewood. So, the reason why I'm sharing that with you, which I could tell you all the whole story of the Black Panthers and how the Bloods and the Crips really started. Like, for example, what does CRIP actually stand for? See, this is why you all need to know, and I'm telling you these things for a reason. CRIP actually stands for Community Resistance and Progress. The reason why the Bloods and the Crips started was because the Black Panthers got broken up in Northern California and came down here. Bloods were called the Bloods because your community is your blood, they're your family, you're supposed to look out for each other. Crips was Community Resistance and Progress, which means that the community sticks together to resist things that were happening at that time. Okay? That's why I'm telling y'all real talk right now. So, the reason why I'm sharing all this with all of you is when I grew up, I had lots and lots and lots of friends that did all of the above. Between they were Bloods, they were Crips, they were gangbangers, all this. For me, growing up as an African-American male here in Los Angeles, when I was a teenager, 1 in 3, that means you take all the African-American males in LA County, 1 in 3, by the time they were 18, were either going to be dead or in jail. All right? So, Now, back to my story. I grew up over here in Culver City. My parents, my grandfather was in the military and my father played professional football. So how many of you want to play a professional sport? Okay, good, good, good. So I'm going to tell you a couple of other things about that. This is why I didn't want you all to know my background. So I grew up in Culver City. I played 4 sports in high school: football, basketball, track, and volleyball. For me, I wanted to play a sport in college and then ultimately professionally. So, and this is where, for those of you that raised your hand, you want to play a professional sport, I'm going to tell you a couple of other things. One is your school and your academics are just as important as your performance on the court or on the field. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I graduated from high school, there were 5 of us that could have played college football. Of those 5, only 3 did. 3 of us. It was my teammate, his name is Derek Deese. He played over at USC. I played at UCLA. And my friend John played at UNLV. The other 2 that could have, you want to know why they didn't? They didn't have good grades. Okay? Now, for those of you that didn't raise your hand, how many of you have desires or aspirations to be like a professional musician or an actor in Hollywood or a performer? Okay? So, for those of you that are raising your hand about Hollywood, here's the next one for you. So I graduated from high school. I played football and actually ran track at UCLA. I tried out to play professional football. Guess what? Didn't make it. So here's some math for you all, especially because that's my sport. Here's some math for you. How many teams are in the NFL? 32. Good answer. How many active players on a roster of a team in the NFL? 51. That's it. 51. So if you do the math, that's 51 times 32. That's how many jobs there are in the NFL each year. But it really isn't that many because there are players that sign contracts that play for years and years and years and years. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because when I played at UCLA, which after we're finished here, when you go home, you can go ahead and Google my name and you will see all these things, okay? When I graduated from college, there were roughly 25 of us that tried out to play professional football. And I played at UCLA. Out of that 25, only 4 made it. And out of that 4, only 1 played more than 3 years. And the reason why I'm sharing all this with all of you is that I wanted to play professional football and there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing it. Not having bad grades and not putting in the work that was required on the field or anywhere else. So when I didn't make it as a professional football player, some of you raised your hand, I joined a theater group in Hollywood and I tried to make it as an actor and a model. So for those of you that mentioned about me being a professional, I did that for 20 years. But there's a reason why I'm here and not on television. And the reason why I'm sharing all these stories with all of you is that you all made assumptions about me based on how I appeared. Okay? That's my story. There's a whole lot more to my story between having friends that are now dead that I grew up with, having friends that had potential. You know, there's a quote from one of my favorite movies ever. It says, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I saw a lot of wasted talent with my friends. Now, after I stopped doing acting and modeling, I decided that it was time for me to give back to the community and do something that I felt very strongly about. I became a teacher. Guess where I spent most of my career teaching? Middle school. I taught in Los Angeles Unified School District for 18 years, and of those 18 years, 13 of them were in middle school. So I had 7th graders just like y'all. I taught over here I taught in Southgate, and then I came over here at a Webster Middle School in West LA, and then I went over to the Valley, and by then it was time for me to move on to do something else. And so I know what a 7th grade mind is like, because I spent all those years with a lot of 7th grade minds. And I know a lot of you are thinking, okay, well, here's another speaker, and you know, I hear it all, and oh well, who cares? I'm just 13 or 14, doesn't matter. Let me tell y'all a couple of things. The longer you teach, the more students you have that grow up to do other things. I still to this day communicate with many of my former students. Many, many, many of them. And yes, I have former students that had everything from parent challenges at home. I had students where English was not their first language. I had students that didn't get breakfast in the morning. I had students that felt that school wasn't for them. Okay? I had to talk out, and at last count, it was 9 of my former students. I had to talk them out of not dropping out of high school. You know why? Because they said to me, Mr. Shelton, I hate school. It's not for me. And I responded to them, and I'm like, call me. And when I talked to them, I would say, here's the thing. If you take school out of your life, you now take this many options, and you give yourself this many. And the reason why I'm sharing all this with all of you is that you have challenges right now that you don't have control over. You have challenges, many of you look like me. We have the same challenges now that existed when I was growing up. You all formulated an opinion about me before I even told you about my background. What opinion is someone going to have of you? What are they going to have of you with the way that you dress, with the way that you speak, with the way that you look, and with your background, if they take the time to even get to know you in the first place? And so those are things for you all to think about, and that's why I have that. That's the question I used to always ask my students. What's your story? So as I'm sharing this with all of you, just take a moment to think about if you were to encounter a complete stranger like I am to you right now, what would I assume about you? What would I assume is your story? What would I think about you as an individual? Male, female, African American, Latino? What would I say about you and how you dress, how you speak, and how you carry yourself? Because I can tell you all right now, you're already being judged, and you will be for the rest of your life. And so being aware of that and thinking about what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to be in my life? And more importantly, and here's a big one, I used to always ask my students this: if you had the opportunity to contribute to your community something that is positive, what would that be? And that's a question for all of you. If you could contribute to your community right now something positive, what would that be? That's a question. And of course, no one's hand goes up. What would it be? Contribute something to your community, that's a positive. And that's usually what happens, because you haven't thought about that yet, have you? Oh, I do have a hand. Right on. Please. What would it be?
To donate money to my community.
Donate money to the community. Thank you. 1 second. However, I will tell you this. What's more valuable than money? Wait for it. Wait for it. Time. And the reason why I say that, and I appreciate you sharing that answer. The reason why I say that is because not all of us have money to donate. But if we have time, that's what people like. That's what people want. Okay, go for it.
Helping the community.
Okay, helping your community. How?
Building more homeless shelters.
Building more homeless shelters. Okay? So let me tell y'all another little quick story. Speaking of building homeless shelters, I have several former students that donate their time building. They work with Habitat for Humanity. Okay? I saw another hand go up. All right? Please.
We'll raise money for cancer communities and orphans.
All right, thank you. We got one more, and then I have a comment on that, please.
Donate to charity.
Donate to charity. See, because the reason why I'm asking you all that question is because the most frequent question that usually gets asked of kids is what? What do you want to be when you grow up? Isn't that, you all still get asked that question, right? You know what's a more important question than that? Wait for it. Wait for it. What's a more important question that an adult should be asking you than what do you want to be when you grow up? The question is, what problem do you want to solve? So, the reason why I'm sharing all this with you is when you think about your future, and it's never too late to think about it, I want you all to keep that in mind. Keep in mind what I've covered so far. What's your story, and how do you want to be best represented for that story? Because I'm telling you, and I can't stress it enough, someone already has an opinion about you and you don't know them. So you need to be able to control your own story. And then when it comes to career choices, the first question that I'm hoping that you will ask yourselves is, what problem do I want to solve? The gentleman up here mentioned about donated cancer research. You know what I would love for you to do? Pursue a career in medicine. And you solve cancer, because the adults my age haven't done it yet. Okay? That would be an example. All right? Now, the reason why I'm sharing all this with all of you, let me go to this one. How many of you have seen Black Panther? Okay, good. So I'm going to say Wakanda forever. All right. Now, you can't see it that well, but I have an African proverb up there. So for those of you that haven't seen Black Panther, I apologize because there's a spoiler in this. But you should have seen it a month ago. Anyway, Black Panther, you have the two primary characters in that. And by the way, I grew up reading comic books, so I read the Black Panther comic books way back in the day. All right? So you have two characters in there. You have T'Challa and you have Eric Killmonger. Okay? We don't have time to discuss and break it down, which I would love to do, who's the real enemy and who's the real hero. But more importantly, with Black Panther, there's an African proverb that says, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Think about that for a moment. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. I got some hands up. Okay, I gotta hear from y'all. Please. Yes, sir.
Like how Killmonger, he was the child who didn't grow up in the village, so he wanted to burn it down.
Yeah, you can't see it, but Killmonger is behind that text. Did you all hear that? Okay, so going to the movie, was Killmonger embraced by the village? No, he was not. And so what did he want to do? Burn it down to feel its warmth. Sort of. It's way more complex than that, which is also why Black Panther is one of my favorite movies. Okay, so the reason why I have this up here is because you all individually, you are being embraced by the village. What you don't know that I'm about to tell you is the following. You have a lot of adults that are invested their time and their money in seeing you be successful. Every time you walk through the doors of a school, every morning, who do you primarily interact with? Who? Your teachers. Okay? Well, your teachers are one who is investing their time and in many cases their money to see you be successful. You are being embraced by the village. You have the administration. The administration of your school, they want to see you succeed. You have Ms. Rush, who runs the School to Home program. The School to Home program wants to see you succeed. Your parents or guardians, they want to see you succeed. So that's why I'm telling you, you are being embraced by the village. There are a lot of adults that are investing a lot of time and money to give you the pathway to success. And it starts off with how you perform in your classrooms and how you interact with each other. And that's why I asked the question, if you could solve one of your community problems right now, what would it be? Can we solve problems by ourselves? No, you cannot. I like sports, so I'll use a sports analogy. Okay? I'm going to guess because they're popular now, many of you are probably Golden State Warrior fans. All right. I'm a Laker fan, diehard. All right, there we go. No team wins a championship with one individual. No community solves a problem with one individual. Doesn't matter how much money they have. All right? So, if you all take anything away from this time that I have spent with you, I'm hoping that you will think about the following things. One, the question I asked, which I'll go back to it. Oops. What's your story? Many of us have challenges that others don't. It's called life. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Okay? So one, what's your story? Two, when it comes to career choices, don't think about the job, think about the problem you want to solve. Think about the contribution you want to make. My contributions were in education. I didn't make it in the original career as I wanted to. Okay? And then the other side to it, the other one is, keep in mind that every day you walk through the doors of this school, and when you go to high school, you are being embraced by the village. There's a lot of people that are investing in you. They're not doing it because they feel like, oh, it's something I should be doing. They're feeling it because they know you're important. And that's something for you all to keep in mind. And so ultimately, when it comes to learning, you all have a couple of things coming up. I know it's getting towards the end of the school year, and yes, I remember that with my students where they'd have their calendars and they would start counting down the days. Because everyone wanted summer break, except for those that my students, they hated summer break because they didn't get to spend time with me. I spent 13 years in middle school, believe me, I know how it is. Plus, at one time, I was in middle school. So, one is to think about your learning and think about every day you go into a class, because you all have different classes now. Every day you go into class, find one new thing you can learn every single day. Because I can tell you right now, your teacher's still learning and I'm still learning. You never stop learning. And then ultimately, the real person that you have to answer to is the person in the mirror. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to contribute? What parts do you want to share with others? Is that a deal? You can share your time, or if you have it, you can share your money. Not everyone has the money. All right? So, does anyone have any questions for me? Because you all are 7th graders and you've already been sitting longer than I would like, but that's different. It doesn't matter. Yes, sir. I can't hear you. What is my job now? So here's what I get to do now, okay? So I'll fill you in on a little bit more. So I told you I graduated from Culver City High School. I went to UCLA. I went to Cal State LA to get my master's degree. My job now is I get to literally travel all around the world and talk to teachers about education. So I like to travel. I get to do it for my job. Do I do it for free? No, I get paid for it. I can't hear you. What about the flights?
Are they free?
No, whoever pays me to go and speak, they pay for them. Yeah, so yes. And I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of places in the world that I otherwise would not go to. A lot. I've already filled up 2 passports. But that's because I put in the work. I was willing to do it. And I can tell you, because you're asking the question, I can tell you right now, if you were to go and Google educational technology speaker, Guess how many African American men you would find? You're looking at them. That's it. So, any other questions does anyone have? Come on, y'all are 7th graders. You gotta say what? I can't hear you. I still didn't hear you. The what?
Asking, what did you say to type in?
What is? I still don't understand you. You gotta speak up, man. All right, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I got a question back here. Yeah.
What's your favorite football team?
What's my favorite football team? I don't have a favorite professional football team. All right, if you really, really want to know, one of my teammates in college is a coach there. My favorite football team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. But that's also because, thank you, that's also because one of my teammates in college is a coach there, and he played for the Steelers for a long time. Any other questions that anyone may have? Come on, y'all gotta come with some questions. All right, I'll go here and then here. You want the microphone? Here you go. No, I got you. Hang on, let. Go.
Favorite comic book hero?
Favorite comic book hero?
Yes.
Favorite comic book hero? Honestly, Luke Cage. But I have a bunch, but he's my favorite. All right, question.
Favorite movie?
My favorite movie of all time?
Harry
There's too many. Like my favorite movie right now, of course, is Black Panther, but nah.
What is your favorite position in football?
My favorite position in football. So,
3 minutes.
yeah, no problem. I'm going to finish up. So in high school, my favorite position in football, in high school I played quarterback, and in college I played receiver. So I'd say quarterback probably. Question. You want the microphone? You got to say it loud. The question is, come on, y'all got to come up with some tougher questions than that. Am I a Marvel or a DC fan? Both. Both. You got to say it loud. Why what?
What high school did you go to?
What high school did I go to? Anyone remember? I said it. Culver City High School. We played against Inglewood.
Do you play for football?
What's that?
Do you play for football?
Yeah, what?
What team do you play for football?
All right, the question was, see, I'm going to quiz y'all. The question was, where did I play football? After Culver City? UCLA. Did I play professional? No, I didn't make it. Who's my favorite? My favorite superhero? I don't know. I don't really have a favorite superhero. Those are you guys. You guys are asking low-level questions, man. We only have time for a couple of more. Go ahead, please. Oops, I'm sorry. Who's my favorite football player? Right now or all time? All time is Jerry Rice.
What is your favorite TV show?
What is my favorite TV show? I don't watch TV. It's called television programming. All right, go ahead. Last question.
Was this Marvel?
What's that?
Was it Marvel?
I still don't understand you.
Was it Marvel?
The question for me was it hard growing up? At times, yes. That's why I shared with you what it was like for me growing up. At times, yes. Yes. So, I know y'all have one more question and then that's it. I know, you've been waving and dying to ask. Go. Ouch.
How many, oh, sorry. How many black superheroes can you know?
Can I know?
How many black superheroes do you know?
I know of several. There's a bunch. What's up?
You can bring them back down before
All right.
before they.
Yeah. All right, so unfortunately we don't have any more time for questions because I know you all need to go to lunch. So why don't we do this? Let's do an exercise. We don't have time for any more. Let's take a deep breath and bring it down. Let's try one more down. All right. So before I hand the microphone back to Ms. Rush, what I want to share with you all real quick is I want to thank you for spending the time with me. That's first and foremost. I want to thank you for spending the time with me. And I'm sure at some point that we will cross paths because we are neighbors. We are in the same village since I don't live too far from here. And I want to wish you all doing the best you can in school. And remember this. Most important question. You'll remember when you get older. Remember the question I asked you. What's your story? All right? Thank you all very much.